We're going tactical today. I want to talk to you about outer envelopes. What I'm seeing with most nonprofits, especially smaller nonprofits, is they are ordering their outer envelopes in bulk. They're using nonprofit postage. They are using an open face, and it's a white number 10. And while it is cost efficient to order in bulk and to choose some of those items, it really hurts appeal and newsletter performance. Efficiency almost always tends to eliminate human elements in communication. And so while we have to be efficient, there are some things we can do to help maintain the humanness of your communications by specifically addressing the outer envelope. It's actually the itty bitty tiny nonprofits that have had no training. They don't really feel like they know what they're doing, that are doing it right when it comes to outer envelopes, because, you know, they're not using an open face because they don't have those. They're using first class postage. They're handwriting the outer address, using blue and black ink that's easy to read. They're not focusing on the branding on the outside of the envelope. They're not using big old taglines. They're not putting pictures on the front of the envelopes. They're really creating a human piece of mail. And so that, if you can do it at scale with your nonprofit, is what you want to do. You want to bring back in the human, and you also want to add creativity, intrigue, mystery, if that's something that you don't normally do. Because again, when you switch things up from your norm, you will get a lift in response. We just know that. So in terms of the state of nonprofit outer envelopes, here's what you generally are getting. You're getting big old branding on the front that screams, "This is our organization." You're getting the print, and the font is hard to read. Generally, they're using brand colors, which creates problems if your brand colors are a very nice light blue or a light green, things with low contrast. So we're having poor readability right off the bat. You're getting the same envelope every time from the nonprofit. Typically, it's an open face. Screams, "We want your money," because on the outside it'll say "Your help is needed" or "Our capital campaign." Either be just an all white number 10, or it'll be overly designed, so much so that it feels like you're being marketed to. So real quick, what is wrong with sending the same outer envelope every time? What if you have the best envelope in the world? What if it looks like handwriting, you use a first class stamp, it's not littered with your branding? What if it's a perfect envelope? The problem with sending the same one every single time is habituation. You see the same thing over and over again, you're gonna quit seeing it. So like, I used to have this thing, it's like, let's put positive affirmations on the mirror. It worked for 2 days till my brain got used to seeing them, and there was no longer affirmations on the mirror. Habituation. That's part of the reason why a 9x12 massive big old outer envelope does well. You can't miss it. No one's habituated to it. No one gets those. It's also worth knowing that envelopes that are open faced tend to pull donations from people who give less than $100 when we're doing acquisition, and closed face envelopes will pull in gifts from people who give over $100. So again, this is another test where we know closed face perform better. It's worth the extra cost. Let's talk briefly about the issue of your brand. There's a lot of internal chatter about a brand color, a brand, making sure your brand is on everything. I'm in alignment with John Lepp that your brand is how your donors perceive you. It's not your colors, it's not your logo. It's how they perceive you. You're not going to get open because you're consistent with your brand and your brand colors. Again, there's a little bit of habituation that's actually going to kind of reduce response rates when you're doing the same thing over and over again. So again, whatever you do shouldn't really be about you. It should be about the donor. So the issue of brand and slapping your logo all over that envelope, that's something you want to do. It's not something that your donors are wanting you to do at all. So in terms of application, like what I just said about brand to your outer envelope, something you could try is, instead of putting your organization's name and address in the top left-hand corner, put the ED's name at the top and then put your address. Additionally, instead of putting your branding all on the outside of the envelope, don't do it for a couple times, for a couple mailings. Hold back. Don't focus on the brand colors. Focus on readability, fonts that are readable, and making it feel human. So in terms of hotspots, let's talk about hotspots on envelopes. Super excited to see this. Where do the eyes go first? Okay, well, they always go to the middle. Who is this piece of mail going to? And then from there, they go to the left. They go to the left. Look at your nonprofit mailings that you're receiving. Where's the tagline? Most of the time it's on the right, but the eyes go to the left. So if you're going to use a tagline and it's good, you're sure it's good, put it on the left. Where do the eyes go third? They go to the sender. That's why if you can humanize the sender, you're going to do better. Where do they go fourth? They go to the postage. And postage, if you're using first class, it will perform better. And even better than that would be a commemorative stamp or an indica. When is it worth using first class stamps? Whenever you're dealing with your major donors or people that you're hoping will upgrade. So flag that in your mind. So let's talk recommendations. I will give you mine. I'm going to give you Tom Ahern's. I'm going to give you John Lepp's. So all in all, go oversized when you can. If you can't, use a 6x9. That performs best. When you are putting a tagline on there, do nothing smaller than a 14-point font, and make sure you use serif font. Don't use light colors. Any type of direct response that looks overly designed in nonprofit fundraising will perform worse. So avoid the glossy, use things that look like a human touched it, and don't use any teasers if you don't have a good one. When you're trying to determine if a tagline is worth using, ask yourself this: does it make the letter opener want to read more? So typically things that have mystery, intrigue, something that is maybe nostalgic, something that's exciting, something that looks like an offer, those tend to be good teasers. The one teaser that I'm just surprised still does well is multipliers, because I get so many pieces of mail that say your $1 equals, $4. And it's so annoying to me because that's all I get. However, we still know from testing those perform well. So you could do something like 1 equals 4 on the outside. That's your tagline. Talk about Tom Ahern's advice on outer envelopes. He mentions put something on the back because they're going to turn it over. I think that's brilliant, especially if you can put something on the back that makes it look touched by a human. So I have a small list, but it's not tiny. So I bring in volunteers and I have them doodle on the back of envelopes. It gets it opened. Something else he recommends doing is put something on the envelope that tells the reader how much you appreciate them. This is really good for any type of cultivation material. If you are sending a newsletter, though, we do know that the tagline, your newsletter enclosed, always performs best. So if you're sending a newsletter, put that on the outer envelope. Now, I got to credit John for making me excited about this because, again, it's his book. His book is just genius. Anyways, he talks about the importance of images, and I've not heard anyone else talk about images on envelopes. His advice is just gold. So what he recommends, if you're going to use an image, make sure it's eye contact. You can't look away from, someone who's looking at you. So the eye contact needs to be powerful and poignant, and you want to make sure you crop it the right way so that's all there is. And John emphasizes the need to stop using tiny photos. In my mind, I'm like, quit torturing the eyes of your donors. Like when you use teeny bitty, little bitty photos, what is that? So quit using tiny photos. If you're going to use a photo, make sure it doesn't look overly productionized, but that it communicates something strong with emotion. And then in terms of John's suggestions on the creative, he has a lot of great ideas. And so here are a few things. I'm going to read them to you. Smeared ink and an angled stamp. So those are ways to make it look like a human touched it. And I'm going to add, if you can use a font that looks a little bit more like handwriting, that's better than just basic. He talks about nostalgia, surprise, mystery, urgency, something sensory. Ooh, I love this. Him and Tom talk about this. Like using a paper clip makes it, feel different. You could wrap. He mentions wrap the letter in bubble wrap. I mean, there's a lot of cool things you could do. Something I was thinking is, how do you do smell? And so I was thinking you could do a scratch and sniff sticker on the back. So you send it, and then on the back you have a little sticker, because you know how you put together an envelope, you lick the flap or whatever, and then you can put a sticker on top. We'll do a scratch and sniff, and then have them sniff it. I don't know. That's the only sensory thing I can give you here. Or to do a mailing for someone who helps people grow crops in Malawi, I would put seeds in the package. So summarize, what's the take-home message? Okay, if you're a small org with limited staff, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure you're always doing a closed-faced envelope. I want you to consider using first-class postage for your major donors. I want you to find a way to add a human element to all of your mail that's going out. So if possible, I don't know how many mailings you have, but I would take your top 30% of your donors, make sure you at least personalize those. It's a way to have donor love and donor care, and also make sure that they're retained and they upgrade when you ask them to give. So I would make sure that the printer sends you those mailings, and you get a team together and you doodle on the outside. You write a short message on the outside. I would oversize envelopes when possible, especially for acquisition, or if you're just wanting to make sure this particular piece gets opened. I would avoid taglines unless you're sure it's good. For newsletters, you can use the tagline, your newsletter enclosed. We know from testing it works well. So that's that. I hope it helps you, because honestly, I bet you have great stuff, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't get opened. So you can take those home, take them to the bank, and start implementing those at your nonprofit today. So my name is Danielle Wallace. I'm the owner of Grow Better. I help small to mid-sized nonprofits optimize their fundraising results. If you are struggling with your appeals, with your newsletters, with what should you even be doing, how do you raise more money, how do you upgrade, book a call with me. We can do a short discovery call, see if we might be a good fit for working together. And there's a link in my bio to do that. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to see you next week.